Hello, North Central Washington, and welcome to Networked. I'm your host, Jenny Rojanasatian, and this is episode 4 of 4 of recapping the annual Flywheel Investment Conference. The Flywheel Investment Conference is Washington's meeting place for entrepreneurs and investors, and every year it's held in downtown Wenatchee, where business leaders, entrepreneurs, investors come together to connect, learn, and compete. At the heart of the Flywheel Conference is an investment competition with real dollars put up by local angel investors in the Flywheel Angel Network. This year, our competition had 77 applicants. That's 77 companies across Washington state who wanted to apply for the chance to compete live on stage in Wenatchee. Those finalists were narrowed down from 77 applicants to 31 semifinalists, and then finally the top 10 who presented live. If you've not been watching along so far, you can visit us at flywheelconference.com or the NCW Life channel and watch our recap episodes leading up to this one. So far, you have seen 5 of our 6 finalists present their company to the Flywheel stage. You've also heard from some of our keynote speakers and special guests. Today's episode, you're going to hear one more finalist present. That company is Given Kind, based in Tacoma. And then you're also going to hear from entrepreneur Jonathan Evans, who's a successful entrepreneur, sold his first company, Skyward, and now is building a new company called Connect Air. Now, Jonathan was not competing this year at Flywheel, but rather telling his entrepreneurial story and how it's evolved into another startup for him. Don't go far. We'll be right back on air with the first company presentation, Given Kind. All right, we're back on air for that first company presentation, Give in Kind. It's Laura Malcolm. She is based in Tacoma, and she is presenting here on the Flywheel stage as she competes for $325,000 in awards. Following Laura's presentation, we have one more short commercial break, and then we'll be back on the stage with Jonathan Evans of Connect Air. Jonathan Evans was not competing this year, as I mentioned earlier, but rather sharing his entrepreneurial story and the new vision he's building behind Connect Air. Enjoy these 2 outstanding presentations.
Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Malcolm, and I am the founder and CEO of Given Kind. Given Kind started because I needed to solve a problem for my own family. When my husband and I lost our first child at birth, we needed a number of things. We needed groceries delivered, meals to show up at our door, and someone to take out the trash. What we got was this room full of beautiful flowers and friends and family that were left scrambling to try and figure out how to help. Because in this pivotal moment in our life, we needed more than a GoFundMe. We needed more than comments on a Facebook post. We needed a way for our community to learn just how they could help us. And they needed a way to give that help in the way that worked for them. But there was no platform that bridged a gap between communication and action. We were not alone in needing something better. I'm certain that each one of you can think of a recent time that you wanted to know how to help someone you care about. That's how $1 trillion in goods and services flow every year to your friends and family and neighbors and coworkers, to your school and church and community groups. But there's a gap between what is needed and what is given that touches individuals and organizations alike. So now imagine a world where you can send dinner to a friend who just had surgery, you can sign up to volunteer in your kid's class, you can make a donation to your favorite organization, all in one place. Amazon changed the way we shop online. PayPal changed the way we pay. Given Kind changes the way we help. Over 3 million people have already come to Given Kind to find out how to support someone else. They've provided 150,000 acts of help and sent over $4 million in goods, services, and donations. Let me show you how we do it. When Parker was diagnosed with cancer, his friends set up an In Kind page to support him, his wife, and their 2 young daughters. 250 people signed up on Give in Kind to follow along with Parker's weekly updates, to make sure his family was fed every night, to make sure they had gifts for the holidays. Parker would have had to set up pages on 4 different platforms to achieve the same level of support that he received through one in-kind page. That's because other tools in this space are single solution. They center on one way to help. But we have brought together a care calendar, wish list, fundraising, and updates and comments, making Give in Kind the place to go for whatever kind of support is needed. That's why a team from Oracle came to Give in Kind to respond when one of their coworkers lost their home in the Colorado fires. Team members from 15 states were able to immediately send thousands of dollars in digital gift cards to their coworker to help his family with meals, housing, home repairs, and more. Where else can you do that today? We have seen usage of Give in Kind growing within organizations like Atlassian, Starbucks, and Disney. And we're starting to build on our network effects within those organizations the same way that Slack did. Give in Kind is so flexible and comprehensive that when multiple Ronald McDonald House locations learned about us from the families they serve, they began using Give in Kind to meet their own unique goals. One for managing and communicating with volunteers, and another for driving gift card donations. They are just one of many organizations using Give in Kind today. Even the Gates Foundation, a global leader in giving, turns to Give in Kind when they need to take care of their own. Each of these examples are just a part of that $1 trillion in goods and services that will flow next year. And while our competitors all fight for their sliver of this market, Give in Kind sits squarely in the center of this enormous opportunity as the marketplace for giving and receiving help. We are already driving a margin on our growing share of that $1 trillion. Here's how. Give in Kind starts with a page creator. Each page creator then uses their network to market and grow our platform. We convert those networks into more page creators. Today, nearly 20% of in-kind pages are created by someone who started out as a supporter on another page, which not only fuels our growth, but has driven down our acquisition costs 30% year over year. We already have a positive revenue to acquisition cost ratio for in-kind pages. In fact, we have driven our revenue per page by 10x over the last 2 years, and we will double it again in the next 2. We do this through a combination of our marketplace revenue, which drives an average 7% margin on GMV, and our paid version, for which we have a nearly 15% upgrade rate. This is well above typical freemium benchmarks, and it shows just how valued we are by our users. Our trailing 12-month revenue has grown 4x year over year, and we are on track to be cash flow positive at the end of this year. As our consumer acquisition channels have grown, they've begun to unlock our B2B and B2B2C channels. For example, we turned patient usage data into healthcare partnerships. Hospitals across the country are now promoting Give in Kind to their patients because the kinds of support received through an in-kind page are proven to be tied to patient outcomes and satisfaction. We will continue growing these B2B channels this year with faith groups and employers. We have started by building tools serving the churches who are coming to Give in Kind to manage their meal ministry efforts. These tools have led to opportunities to integrate with major channel partners like Blackbaud and PushPay. These B2B customers are important because they're compounding. Each customer will drive not only subscription revenue, but each in-kind page they create drives both transactional revenue and more viral pages, fueling our growth flywheels. We have done all of this with a lean and talented team based in Tacoma and located around the world. My long career in product management and Andy's in technology leadership have allowed us to build a best-in-class product. And our full-time team of 9 delivers an experience that our customers have called the best thing on the internet. So I will leave you with this. One of GivenKind's investors asks herself before making an investment, what will the world look like when this company is wildly successful? We see a world where anytime we want to know how to help, we turn to GivenKind, where it's as easy to send dinner across the world as it is to send money, where we can engage with our community outside of social media, where asking for help is normal and giving it is meaningful. Join us in making that possible. Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is such an honor, I can't tell you, to be able to sit here in the audience and to share in the beginning of other people's audacious startup journeys and to be asked to come and share my own, maybe 10 years after I started, I guess, is just, I can't tell you, there's no better word than an honor, and thank you for it. Thank you for being the audience to my story, I guess, today. And thank you all who are sharing the beginnings of yours. I was thinking back there that one thing we all share in common as entrepreneurs is we truly do want to make the world a better place. And we actually do want to improve on the systems that we share in society. And we all do it from the places that we know how and we feel most passionate about. And that's something we all share in common. And so, again, a great honor to get to share my story on now my second entrepreneurial journey. There are actually a few more in there, and any entrepreneur knows that, but I'm not going to share all of them. I mean, it did start when I was a young guy, and I would be the one that would get a team of other kids together in the woods to go ride our bikes and build a fort. And I can tell you, even as a leader of a team then, I didn't know how to build the fort. But I did know how to get the kids together to go build the fort because it seemed like a purposeful, intrinsically motivated activity to do. So when I became an adult finally, you argue whether that's an adult. I dropped out of college and I enlisted in the Army. And I sought my lifelong dream from a young boyhood to be skyward. I wanted to be up in the sky. I always was just obsessed with aviation, like a lot of people I know now. And I got to achieve that dream very, very early. I think that's a 19 or 20-year-old me, and I'm about to get my wings and be the youngest military pilot in the Army, the military at the time, until some child from the Kentucky National Guard came up behind me and got the distinction a couple months later. My second career, I flew life flight around here. And you talk about purposeful work and that drive that we all share, feeling that you have meaning in your work. Well, this is the best, hard-working way I knew how to do it, flying a helicopter, is flying an ambulance. And I did it all over the West. And I ultimately landed in Eugene and started my third career while on duty as an ambulance pilot. And I like to joke that you have, a lot of time on standby on ambulance duty of any kind to surf the internet and even, scratch to the bottom of it sometimes. And I did that about drones. And I've just always been a very geeky pilot, I guess. I was a network administrator in the Army as well. And I saw that my beloved aviation industry could truly enter the information age with this new aerial robotic vehicle, this new information age aircraft. And even though I didn't know anything about how to build a drone or anything about actual aerodynamics other than manipulating the sticks myself of a helicopter, I did have a sense of the rules of the road. And I had a sense that if you could take the rules of the road of aviation, which is well regulated for a reason, we all trust it when we walk down a jetway, and we should. Bar none, the safest system that you will participate in any of your given days. And we should keep it that way and only improve on it. But if you take those rules of the road and you collapse them into software, if you actually take the algorithms it takes to articulate four-way intersections in the sky, if you will, and you take the credentials of the pilots that control those aircraft, and you take the maintenance records so that we can trust that they're airworthy. You add those things up, you put it into a digitized airspace, and you really have a network upon which a connected drone could fly as a network itself in those regulated airspaces. And that was kind of my pitch, about 10 years ago. And luckily, we were able to pick up some traction from Voyager Capital, who we all know in this community well, and Diane Freeman, I was so grateful to have a reunion with last night. And, they discovered this concept, and this younger guy with a team behind him ready to build a fort in the sky. And they got behind us, and we did it. We did $8 million over 5 years on Sand Hill Road, and I spent a lot of my time there. And I can tell you that Silicon Valley, the satire, is really good. I'll just say it's really, really good, and sometimes a little painful. But we did it, We did the apparent success that we're all striving for in this forum, and we were able to attract Verizon as an early investor to the same vision of networking these robots in the sky, of flying IoT. And gratefully, they invested early, along with Voyager and other venture capital from Silicon Valley. And in 2017, they kind of surprised me when they offered to buy the company. And it was a great surprise. And quite frankly, there was a moment of pause. No, we're going to raise more money. We're going to keep going. We're going to make this globally changing, important concept. And we're being bought too early, maybe just for a half a second. But I think Diane probably sat me down. We had a good conversation. It was very clear that the most patient money for the project, for the dream that we were pursuing, was definitely in Verizon. And it was the place to take the kernel of intelligence from the 25 folks in Portland that were working on it and place it into something that could change the world, could bring it to scale. And so it was a life-changing experience. And I think it was, the best thing we could do for that project at the time. If you're following it in the news, you know that I've been going through some mixed emotions over the last 2 weeks because Verizon just announced that they're shutting it down after building it to a 150-person division. And so the success notion, I think that's the moral of my story. It looks a certain way on paper, but we all know that our lives aren't like that. They're multidimensional. Right? And I don't know what to tell you about how I feel about how Skyward was shut down by Verizon last week. I can tell you it's a continuation of the story and the practice. So here I am today as the CEO of Connect Air with only 1:20 left to give you the commercial. So luckily Don did a great job of it. We're bringing these smaller aircraft. You can summons them in your phones, like a superpower, like every superpower you can in your phones today, but aviation for the first time probably. And we're able to bring you in the trusted hands of very safe pilots that I'd let my kids fly around with across these mountains in these aircraft. We're bringing them to your local airfield, and we're bringing them at a price that people can actually afford. Today's private jet charter market serves the 0.1%. We are bringing this to the upper 10% at first, and as we get into this bold AA, advanced air mobility future, of electrified aircraft, will bring the price back even more. And the way we're doing this is we're exploiting the inherent inefficiencies. We're squeezing the juice still remaining in the fruit that we have in the aviation infrastructure today, and we're connecting the A to B and B to A legs using software. Simple concept, right? Well, today's jet charter market operates at 40% empty legs. So we're going to aggregate this demand across 2 points like this that are probably quite familiar to this audience. And we're going to keep bringing that price down. The more of you go A to B and B to A in parity. But don't worry, software will do the work for you, and we'll just give you a push button at something you can afford. We're going to do this all over the nation. We're going to replace the hub and spoke and corrals with a truly on-demand dynamic mesh network of air mobility, of personal air mobility. And just a teaser, this is something we actually plan to build in Bend, at Bend Municipal Airport in the coming year. And luckily, a real estate developer of real caliber approached us and said, do you have any vision for what a local private, well, truly public, but private-like air mobility experience should look like on the ground? And we said, we sure do. And it should include electric charging stations for these new aircraft that are coming and for the vehicles on the ground, right? Multimodal, All of these great concepts. It should include food trucks and great places to enjoy aviation's environment. I don't know why it's been stuffed into a place that the pioneers of my beloved industry would be ashamed of. It deserves celebration. Flying is magic. It's one of the most magnificent things we do. And we want to empower you all to do it. And so what have I learned on this path? There are two things that I wanted to say here, and I'm over my time. Sorry, you guys have a bar to go to. We can talk there. But it's ironic, I'm out of my time. That's the first thing I want to say, that time is the only thing that you can invest. We're at an investment conference. The only thing I know that you actually invest in life is your time. And do it well, and do it mindfully, because that's what you're actually investing. And the returns don't come in the form of dollars. They come in the reciprocity of time well spent with others, and especially enduring hard, good work that empowers others. That is time well invested. And the final thing I want to say about what I've learned, and it matches what we're trying to do at Connect Air, the journey is the destination. There's no final moment where you complete the story and get on stage and say there, like a Hollywood ending. You just have to complete each day in new practice and keep going and enjoy it while it's going, because that's the only place you're going to do it. And that's what we're going to bring to you in an air mobility experience, again, instead of being corralled around. And I hope that you're inspired by my vision now to bring that at the beginning of this story. And may the beat go on. Thank you all.
Well, that is a wrap. 4 episodes highlighting just a portion of the Flywheel Investment Conference. It was 2 days of outstanding presentations by 10 incredible companies. Now, through this incredible TV show we have here on the NCW Life channel, we're only able to really show a fraction of the excitement that happened at Flywheel. So I invite you to learn more by visiting our website, flywheelconference.com. And do you want to know who won? I am sure you do. We are so excited that BrainSpace was the conference winner this year. So back in episode 1, we shared the presentation by Caitlin Morse of BrainSpace. She was awarded $220,000 through the annual Flywheel conference. Big congratulations to BrainSpace. We also had another winner in Zilla Works. Zilla took home a $50,000 investment offer from the Flywheel Angel Network to continue to build his company. And then we had 2 more awards to hand out, a $50,000 relocation offer and a $5,000 cash prize for the audience favorite. And it was Innovate Ag who swept both of those categories, walking away with, again, the cash prize for being audience favorite and the relocation offer to move the company over to the Chelan Douglas area. It's been so much fun telling the stories of Flywheel with you. This is a really big annual event that you can get involved with right here locally, whether you're an investor, entrepreneur, or a community member who wants to come learn, listen, and engage. We invite you to participate. Visit us, again, flywheelconference.com, or at the Tech Alliance website, ncwtech.org. I'll see you back here next week with some new guests in the NCW Life studio.
Since 1999, NCW Tech Alliance has served as our regional hub for technology innovation. As a 501c3, their nonprofit mission is to connect people and technology resources to create a thriving community. You can network with the team and guests from today's show by visiting them at www.ncwtech.org.